The fishing news is brought to you by Okuma.
Hi there, Toby Lapinski for the New England edition of the Fisherman magazine with this week's web video fishing forecast for New England. Well, we weathered the first measurable snowfall of the season here in southern New England over the weekend, and fortunately it didn't seem to hamper the fishing one bit, although it did limit sailing schedule for a lot of the local boats. However, fortunately, the shore-based salt and freshwater fishing remains very good for those willing to brave the elements right now, as you'll see. All right, let's see. There's still plenty of stripers to be had in the tidal rivers and surrounding waters of Long Island Sound for Connecticut anglers. I had a decent outing again a few nights ago, landing some small striped bass on jigs, tossed on freshwater gear, and I've heard of guys landing more than 100 fish on an outing in recent days, with almost everyone being a sub-legal size fish. So there's tons and tons of small fish out there. Unfortunately, I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. I don't know how smart it is for the guys to be running up numbers like that. Ultimately, you're doing some damage to those fish. Release mortality rates are going to result in some of those fish perishing, no matter how quick you are landing them, how careful you are with them. I usually limit myself to a handful of fish before I either move on to another spot or just call it an outing. But hey, as long as you're staying within the law as it is written right now, so be it. More power to you. But it's always just something to consider, especially in the off season with the extreme temperatures, water and air that you're dealing with. Might have some sort of an effect on those fish. So again, just something to think about. Also, let's see, talked to Captain Greg of the Blackhawk this week. Reminder, he is sailing out of Stonington, Connecticut right now. Makes for easier run over to Block Island. And speaking of Block Island, he has been doing really, really well over there lately. Getting cod, black sea bass, and scup. For instance, his trip this past Friday, just before the big snowstorm rolled through, they had a bunch of cod, over 20 pounds landed on the boat. It was a great day, one of the best he's had cod fishing in a long time. If you want to get in on one of these trips, these are limited fares. I believe it's limited to just 35 people on the boat, so all spots must be reserved. He's got trips scheduled this Friday, I believe Saturday and Sunday as well, so give him a buzz right now and see if you can get on one of those spots. And as expected, the Rhode Island boats are also doing really well on cod and sea bass out around Block Island. And with blackfish season wrapping up this Friday, the 15th, those boats that are getting in on the last-minute bites have been doing really good. It's sort of like, as I noted last week, it's like we had a sluggish start to start off the fall run for blackfish here in New England, but it has really made up in the tail end of the season. Connecticut ended last week, finished on a high note. Now Rhode Island ends this week, and again, landing some really good fish, a lot of double digits being caught. Also saw a really cool video posted by Mesquamaket Bait and Tackle on their Facebook page on Sunday, showing gannets hammering away at sea herring in the surf, easily within casting range of shore. Now I couldn't tell, and I didn't hear if there was any bass underneath them or around them, but I'd have to imagine if there are any striped bass out front still, that they were packed tightly with those schools. And those sea herring at the end of the season like this, if there are any big striped bass still lingering around, I guarantee that they are going to be shadowing those schools. So if you can find some sea herring, it's worth taking some casts. And up in Massachusetts, trout fishing remains your best bet. And Chris Nashville of the Goose Hummock Shop has been doing really good on brown trout up on the Cape. Had some nice pictures, some good-sized browns that he's been catching and releasing up there. And I'm hearing live baits like always shiners are doing well as artificials, plastic stick baits, rapalas, rebels, things like that, as well as small spoons are producing fish also. All right, well, there you have it. I am Toby Lapinski for the New England edition of the Fisherman magazine, wishing you tight lines if you head out onto the water this weekend.